morning.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Phyllis, for that beautiful version of Abide With Me. That was just lovely. My name is Dan, and I'll be your service leader today. And thank you and welcome to Unity of Bloomington. At Unity, we offer practical spiritual teachings that empower abundant and meaningful living. And we are a center for spiritual growth, and we provide inspiration and tools and practices that support people on their path of spiritual growth. So please stand and join me in affirming our statement of being. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. This power expresses life, love, wisdom, and abundance through me. In it, I live and move and have my being. Please be seated. Thank you. One way we empower abundant, meaningful living is by practicing our 5 basic principles. And I'll state the principle, and I invite you to respond with the affirmation. There is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in our lives, God the good, omnipotent. We are spiritual beings created in God's image, and the Spirit of God is within each of us. We create the experience of our lives through our thoughts and beliefs. I create. We become aware of our oneness through prayer and meditation. I pray. We transform our lives by putting these principles into practice. I live. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical, but we're getting it. Ginger Curry's not here, and we are stepping in. Yeah. So, Phyllis, it is now time for our moment with the children.
We all get to be big kids today. You may have seen something that says on. You may have muted it. I got it. I'm not a tech person. Even the switch gets to me sometimes. You may have seen something like this in the past, but I think I'm going to use it a little differently. I'm going to talk today about understanding from the heart. And one of the ways we do that is to build our spiritual being. The foundation of it is logic. That's one piece of it. So we put rocks in here as the foundation. So it's full of rocks. But on top of rocks, on top of our logic, we also have experiences. That, based on the facts that we know, we have experiences. If I can get it open, experiencing difficulty. So we can fill a little more and shake it down. Even though we thought it was full of logic, there's room for experience in our lives. So now it looks full still. After experiences that we then have the emotions and the feelings that the logic and the experiences bring up in us as things happen. So, even though we thought that it was full before, there still is room for feelings. I promise I'll clean this up, Bill. And after the logic, the facts, the experiences, and the emotions, when we put all that together, there still is a connection of action based upon those things that we still have room for in our life, in our spiritual being. You can't see it, but the salt's going down there. Last time I did this, I used sand, and I didn't have any left, so we get salt. So even though we thought it was full with the logic, and then we thought it was full after we added experience to it, and then we thought again that it was full after we added the emotions, then we have to do something about it to actually be the entire spiritual being that we are, and understand who and what that spiritual being is. Thank you.
Phyllis, that was a great moment. Very fascinating. And there's still room in that bucket, I think.
Air.
Yeah, we can get more salt in there, I
We
think.
could put some water in there.
Yeah. I like to taste the sunshine. I like to smell the wind. I like to feel the earth move. I like to be a friend. I like to hear the rainbow singing the color blue. I Thank you. In July 2021, Unity's annual theme is how to stay centered no matter what. And each month we explore the role of one of the 12 powers that plays in staying centered and achieving inner peace no matter what is occurring around us. And this month we are exploring the power of understanding. Divine knowing is our nature. We perceive truths that are timeless. When faced with truths that challenge our human perceptions, we move through temporary discomfort to gain deeper insight and awareness. We hold a vision of unwavering good, trusting that every experience aligns with our well-being. We are steady and secure, and our understanding empowers us to be authentic and bold. When we or others fall short of our divine nature, we respond with compassion, setting firm but loving boundaries that honor our sacredness and theirs. Spiritual understanding is a clear compass, directing us to our highest and best. So please join me in claiming this truth as our own together. With spiritual understanding, I know everything is unfolding for my highest good. So, a couple highlights. One of the highlights is, do you have a green thumb? Do you love the smell of potting soil? If so, we would be delighted if someone in our community wanted to take care of the houseplants here at Unity. Doesn't take much, but a little know-how, green thumb, a little plant, some potting soil, and you can help keep our growing oxygen-producing plants in our beautiful space here. So you can either log on or email the ministry at unityofbloomington.org, or just talk to anybody here and we'll get you connected on how that can work for us. Also, I wanted to share with you, many of you know my son, Will. Will turned 23 this year, and yesterday, I moved my son to Chicago. And as he said to me, Dad, he goes, I'm starting the rest of my life. So I just wanted to share that little bit of launching my first son out into the world, and I know many of you know him and have, as he's grown up here in Unity, and I thought I'd share that next rite of passage into the rest of his life. So he starts on Monday for a company in Chicago in the Evanston area for ZS and their consulting, marketing consulting, healthcare, financial consulting firm, and he's joining their large company, and so. Takes after his day. Oh, thank you, thank you. He's a good guy. So continuing, any other announcements, Reverend? Anybody, Phyllis? Okay. So the word for today is pray for others. And the affirmation is, I know the truth of each dear one, and I hold in prayer. So let me get to this one. I had to make sure that I read the right one. Yes, here it is. So from the daily word, from today, I know the truth of each dear one I hold in prayer. What an honor it is to hold others in prayer. I am grateful for this sacred trust and use it to see beyond appearances, knowing they are temporary conditions. I focus on the unchangeable truth that each one for whom I pray is a divine being, a living expression of God. And as I pray for others, I envision divine peace, calming thoughts, and strengthening faith. I see healing leading to the realization of wholeness. I pray divine love and wisdom create harmony in relationships, guiding every decision. I affirm divine order is established in every area of life. I claim for them the zeal to complete everything that needs to be done. I then give thanks, grateful to bless others with the gift of prayer. And from Matthew 18, verse 19, again, truly I tell you, if two of you agree on earth about anything you ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. So let's speak together and join in speaking this affirmation aloud. Together, I know the truth of each dear one I hold in prayer. And now repeat it to yourself silently. I know the truth of each dear one I hold in prayer. Our speaker and musical inspiration today is being presented by Phyllis Wycliffe, and thank you so much.
There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it, 'cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. How does the mighty oak tree face the changes autumn brings? Well, he doesn't worry if he'll grow new leaves when it is spring. Let me be that trusting, let me let go, and know the buds are on their way, though I'm naked in the snow. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it, and every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it, 'cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. How does the tiny robin feel when she finally leaves the nest? She takes a giant leap of faith and lets nature do the rest. Let me be that faithful, let me dare to fly. Though my wings are frail, I will not fail, and there's a simple reason why. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it, and every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it, 'cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. There's a power in the universe greater than just me, and it works a million miracles when I let it be. 'Cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Every time I forget that so, the universe will show it. There needs to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it, 'cause I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. I always know what I need to know I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. Karen Taylor Good writes the best songs. That was one of hers. But some of them, and that one in particular, are fast and jumpy, and sometimes you don't hear all of the words while it's being sung. So I want to go over the words to the chorus one more time, just to make sure that you really heard them. I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. And every time I forget that's so, the universe will show it. There seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it, because I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. How does that happen? That everything works out fine, and I can't blow it. I can't screw things up so royally that things are a total mess because I know what I need to know. For me, it doesn't happen a lot ahead of time. It happens immediately in the moment. But when I need to know something, I know it. So I'll ask the question again, how does that happen? A couple of years ago, if you had been in the metaphysics discussion group that we have, you probably would have rolled your eyes, along with Bill Perry especially, and everybody else in the group too, when once again I asked the question, how or why, when somebody made a statement or a comment. It happened pretty much every Sunday. I needed to have the underlying reasoning and the backstory to every concept, every comment that was made. I needed the logic behind it. Well, my father was definitely a very intelligent, intellectual man. In his opinion, everything had to be backed by research, facts, up-to-date information, and more than anything else, logical thinking. It was really frustrating to me as a child, and especially as a teenager, to be in a conversation with my dad and have me make a statement, and he would say, "What's your source for that information?" Really? He definitely taught me to look beyond, to look underneath, to look for more regarding any information that I received, to find out who funded the study, what were the formulas used to figure the statistics, how were the results going to be used, and why was the study done in the first place even? That training really has been beneficial to me as an adult because I seldom take anything in the news at face value. And in conversations I have with people too, if I don't know their background, I kind of take what they say at just at face value as well. I know that there are nuances behind everything. So for a good part of my life, I followed Dad's training. I asked how and why about everything. But over the last few years, I finally have realized that I don't need to know with my intellect how or why something works. I just need to know that it works. Let me say that again. I don't have to know how something works in order to realize that it works. I don't know all the details and the ins and outs of how my car works. I haven't done it for a while, but I have changed the oil, put new spark plugs in, changed a flat tire, and a few other minor maintenance chores, but I don't really understand how the car works, especially these newfangled ones with all the computer stuff in them. I used to know about the carburetor and all that kind of stuff, and it's totally different these days. But I do know that when I turn the key in the ignition, the car starts, and I'm off to do whatever it is I need to do. I know that it works, even though I don't know all the details about how it works. And my knowing comes from experience. 99 times out of 100, when I turn the key in the ignition of my car, it starts up without me knowing or doing anything else. I just turn it on and it works. That's the experience of my life, at least the last 15 years or so. So most of the time, I don't even think about it. I just turn the key and drive away. Once in a while, if it doesn't work, and my past experience does not hold true, I know that I have resources to figure out what the problem is and how to fix it. I don't have the detailed and specific knowledge and skills in my brain itself to maybe figure out what the problem is, but I do have other resources that I can call upon, other than my personal intellectual knowledge. One of my sons is a mechanic, so I could call him. That's his job. One of my sons-in-law, actually, kind of fiddles with cars, and he kind of knows what he's doing, so I could call him. I could look it up online. I could go to the library and take out a Chilton manual and try and fix it myself. And as a last resort, I could take it to the car dealer or an auto repair shop here in Bloomington. Lots of options for other resources, more than just my small bit of knowledge of the details involved in this machine of the material world. Hopefully you can see where I'm going here. Our intellectual brains give us the logical facts and figures to deal with things in the material world around us. But there is so much more than just the material world around us. And we are so much more than just a physical human being. So we need to use more than our intellectual brains to truly understand both our lives and ourselves, our divine spiritual being that I built in the children's moment. Shakespeare said it several hundred years ago. There's a quote in Hamlet that says, "There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy." And the dictionary definition of the word philosophy is the rational investigation of the truths and principles of being, knowledge, or conduct. In other words, Shakespeare acknowledged that rational, logical thinking is not all there is. There is more than just logic and rationality. Since I'm a musician, I'm going to use learning a new piece of music as an example of this. You have to look at the notes and chords themselves, the rhythms, the dynamics, how soft and loud it is and where, and any accented notes. The pedaling, how do I coordinate my feet and fingers so that all the notes don't run together? The fingering, how am I going to make my fingers play the phrases in the most efficient way? The speed, is it slow or fast? Does it change the speed anywhere? The style of the music, is it a gospel feeling or a Spanish dance or a soft and slow ballad or maybe jazz? If it's a song, there are lyrics to learn, and then you have to try to match the style of the music to the meaning of the words. Those are all the technical things that a musician has to investigate and work on before you can say that a piece of music is learned. But all of that is still just black marks on a piece of paper. To really make a piece of music, there has to be more. What was the composer's reason for writing it? What was going on in his or her life at the time that may have influenced how the music was written or what was written? How does it make me as the performer feel when I play it? What message do I want to convey to those who might listen to me play it? How do I want them to feel during and after the music? All of that connected together makes it truly music, the technical aspects and the more of what is beyond. I read a quote the other day that has really stuck with me. It said, "Play the notes, but hear the music." And that means hear with your inner ear, not just your outer ear. Music is more than just notes on a page. There is something more underneath or beyond the notes on the page that makes it truly music. There's a big difference between what you hear from a student who really doesn't want to be playing in a recital and a concert pianist who is absolutely immersed in the music being played. There is the more. And such is life also. The word understanding is usually used to express that someone gets facts or figures, and maybe conclusions that have been drawn from those facts and figures. Thoughts, ideas, what the psychologists call cognitive thinking. But there is more to life than just cognitive or rational or logical thinking. There is more to us as divine spiritual beings than just that little piece. The rocks filled the container in one respect. But there still was room and there still was need for something more. So I filled the jar with logic first, facts and figures first, because in this now moment, our human bodies do live in a material world. And when I wrote this, every time I've gone through it, it's like I hear Madonna's song, Living in a Material World. It's like, okay, and I'm not even a pop fan, but I hear that in my head because this is a material world. So we have to deal with the physical, tangible thinking regarding the principles of physics that relate to this material world. But when we live only within that physical world, only by those rules, we have limitations based upon our knowledge and usage of the rules or laws of physics just of this physical world. But I have to tell you, the laws of physics have changed since I was in high school. I was the only girl in my physics class, and I absolutely loved it. Here were the explanations of how and why that I had been trained to look for in my life. Back then, those laws were pretty much based on what we could perceive with our 5 physical senses. At least that's the way I understood it at my level in high school. Nowadays, at any level, much is being written about the physics of unseen things, forces and particles and properties that cannot be explained by our 5 physical senses. But the results of the actions of those unseen forces are seen and perceived and recognized by the scientists as existing, even though we can't see them or experience them with our material world. The word perceive is defined by Webster as to become aware of, know, or identify by means of the senses. So unseen things can cause results that can be identified by our physical senses. That change in thinking is pretty major. It is acknowledgement from the logical, material thinking scientists that there is much more to everything than we thought there was just 50 years ago. Yes, I was in high school 50 years ago. We're having our 50-year anniversary, or reunion, that's the word. 50-year reunion in September. It's like, really? But 50 years is just a drop in the bucket. It seems like a long time to me personally, but it's just a drop in the bucket to science and to what we know. But our thinking logic is only one piece of us as spiritual beings. We may be living in this physical material world at this moment in time, but we are more than just that. We are spiritual beings having a human existence. And as such, we have many more resources available to us than just the logic of the material world, just the rocks. Next in the jar came experiences, the beans. As I mentioned earlier, my experience with my car, at least these days, is that when I turn the key, it starts. Part of the reason I was able to list so many resources that I had when it did not work was because in my early days, in my early experiences, more often than not, the car did not start right away. So my experiences of developing other resources to accomplish my goal also comes into play. And we can label those experiences both good and bad. Notice that I said we. I can label my experiences myself. They really aren't either good or bad experiences, really. They just are. Kim Ballou actually mentioned that a couple of weeks ago in her talk. She said events themselves are neutral, and that's true. It's a fact. Something happened. It is how we deal with them and our emotions surrounding them that determine whether we see them as good or bad. The car did not start, a definite fact. The circumstance that I had 3 children under the age of 6 with me, and one of them was sick and we were trying to get to the doctor, adds experience to the fact of the matter that the car didn't start. Based on the circumstances surrounding the event, I labeled the experience a bad one. It was not fun, because it was in the middle of winter, first of all. On the other hand, when my radiator blew up in Sturgis, South Dakota, on the weekend of the annual motorcycle rally, I actually labeled that experience a good one by the time it was over. This was a Saturday during my Western music tour in 2012. A Good Samaritan had stopped to help me put the fire out under my hood because it had actually blown up and there was a fire. During our conversation, it became obvious that there were absolutely no camping spots in the entire area because of the motorcycle rally. And even if there had been a hotel room, which there were not, I could never have afforded the prices that were being asked for it. So as we waited for things to cool down, he asked what I did for a living. I told him that I had just retired from 5 years as a housing counselor, trying to keep people from losing their homes to foreclosure. As it turned out, his brother or sister, and I honestly don't remember which it was, but one of his siblings had just lost their home to a foreclosure auction just a few weeks before that. They had not even been aware that there might be any resources or help to possibly save it. He was very appreciative of the work that I had been doing. He had a couple of rental properties that were being rehabbed at the time, and he let me crash on my sleeping bag on a floor in one of them until my car was fixed for free. About the only thing that worked in the whole place was the bathroom, which I was very grateful for, but I was out of the rain, I didn't have to pay anything, and I was very grateful for that. After the weekend, he took me to a junkyard, found a radiator that would work in my car, and had a friend put it in for me. The only thing he would let me pay for was the part itself. So even though I had a major car repair issue in an unfamiliar place with no obvious support system surrounding me, which most people would label as bad, I remember that experience as a good one because of the people I met, the results of the actions that occurred, and the further demonstration to me that, as Karen said in her song that I sang, there seems to be a plan that works, and there's no way I can blow it, even when my radiator blows up. So, logical thinking and experiences, rocks and beans. In building a divine spiritual being, emotions come next. I use rice for that. I mentioned earlier that my father was a very intelligent, logical thinker. My mother was at the absolute opposite end of the spectrum. She was a very, very emotional person. Her emotions pretty much ruled her life. No matter what events occurred, she always had a reaction of her feelings about the facts and circumstances themselves. So my childhood exposed me to both logic and emotions and demonstrated how both concepts could affect life. Not just my life, but everything that my life touched as well. Webster's dictionary defines emotions as a state of consciousness in which joy, sorrow, fear, etc. is experienced, as distinguished from a cognitive state of consciousness, from a thinking or a rational, logical state of consciousness. In The Revealing Word, Charles Fillmore defines emotion as undisciplined or uncontrolled forces, excitement of the feelings. That's a direct quote. That's what it says. Emotion, undisciplined or uncontrolled forces, excitement of the feelings. He then makes a short statement that there are chemical changes in the body with both bad and good emotions, so it would be better to think good thoughts and do good acts for one's own sake. End quote. And that's all he says. Nothing else. No more explanation. Well, undisciplined and uncontrolled has a somewhat negative connotation to me. I didn't really like his definition. Forces that are without discipline and without control. It kind of makes me have a 2-year-old toddler, think of a 2-year-old toddler's tantrum. But excitement of the feelings, in the scientific sense of the phrase, actually just means movement. To excite something in chemistry or physics just means to get things moving. If an atom or an ion is excited, it means that all the elements are moving. So I guess he means that emotions aren't static. They aren't asleep. They are alive. Now, I can get behind that part of the definition. We all have emotions and feelings, but it is our responsibility and our choice how we use those feelings. One of my daughters, who is actually 36 years old now, recently told me that she had watched the movie Inside Out with her 4-year-old. She said that while they were watching, all of a sudden she had one of those light bulb moments where she realized that she had a choice of which emotion she could allow to be in charge at any given moment. Now, she apparently starts her day by giving permission out loud to specific positive emotions to be in charge that day. Patience has been her big one lately. Patience, you are in charge today. And Joy, you can help. And she says that every morning. And when she gets angry, she says, anger, you only get to be in charge for 5 minutes. Then you have to be quiet. I'll talk to you later. She knows better than to stuff the anger down. She acknowledges it, but chooses not to let the anger have control for very long. I'm very proud of her. She says their home lives have been much better recently. It's that adage, if mama's happy, everybody's happy, and if she's not, nobody is. Emotions are an important piece of understanding our spiritual being. The final piece that I demonstrated in the jar with salt is action. All of these ingredients put together allow us to understand who we are. Facts, experiences, and emotions have little value by themselves unless and until we take the action of connecting them all together and making use of the understanding that burrows into our consciousness when they are all connected, when we are connected to all that we are. In The Revealing Word, Charles Fillmore says this about consciousness: the sense of awareness, of knowing, the knowledge or realization of any idea, object, or condition, the sum total of all ideas accumulated in and affecting man's present being, the composite of ideas, thoughts, emotions, sensation, and knowledge that makes up the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious phases of mind. It includes all that man is aware of: spirit, soul, and body. And I want to add to what Charles Fillmore said, kind of the gospel according to Phyllis, if you will. I think our consciousness also includes those things that man is not yet aware of in our spirit, soul, and body, but things that are there regardless. There, just waiting to be called upon, underneath everything else. There are many articles that say that human beings only use about 10% of their brain capacity. So we have more thinking ability than we use on a daily basis. Witness the Hindus who walk on beds of nails and the Buddhist monks who do amazing things with their bodies that the rest of us don't or can't do because we don't listen or pay attention to our bodies as much as they do. Our physical bodies are not everything there is. Myrtle Fillmore is a good example of that. She healed a physical body issue of tuberculosis by tapping into something more. So there is more underneath the physical realm than we are conscious of on a routine basis. Underneath, underlying, underbelly, undergrowth, underground, underscore, understanding. Most of those other under words have a noun after the under part. Undergrowth, underground, underwear. Understand has a verb. Stand. To stand under. To stand up on the foundation of our divinity and acknowledge and grab the more that exists inside each and every one of us. Not to be a surface dweller, but to dig into the more that is the bedrock that is under the spiritual beings that we are. That is what the power of understanding is. Standing in our divinity, being the more that we know exists through thinking, our experiences, our feelings, and our actions. And through the connection that we have to the divine that is within us. Connecting all of those pieces of our spiritual being brings us understanding, not just from the brain, but from the heart, from the center of our being. I always know what I need to know when I need to know it. And I know it with every fiber of my brain, my soul, and my spirit. I understand fully, wholly, from the heart of my divine spiritual being. And as we prepare for meditation, open your hearts to that understanding. Grab for it, look for it, reach the understanding of who you are. My heart is open to the logic of my brain, to the experiences in my life, both those ones that I have labeled good and those ones that I have labeled bad, because we learn from both good and bad. My heart is open to the emotions in my being. My heart is open, searching for the actions that will connect everything that is in my life on this planet to my life as a spiritual being. My heart, the center of my being, is open, waiting to be filled with the understanding that I have within inside me as a spiritual being, as a divine piece of everything that is. My heart is open and willing and waiting to receive in the silence.
Thank you, Phyllis. We now turn to the spiritual practice of generosity. And we are grateful for the many ways that this center supports us in our spiritual growth. And we, in turn, are happy to support the center with our financial contributions and our voluntary service. We are also grateful to those of you who have already put in place automatic weekly, monthly, and quarterly giving. Thank you. And today, if you feel led to give, please visit our website at unityofbloomington.org and click on the giving link. And if you brought your tithe or love offering with you this morning, we invite you to place it in the singing bowl at the back of the chapel on your way out of the service. The singing bowl is also where you can leave any prayer requests, and you will find the prayer requests in the seat pocket in front of you. So please join me now in speaking aloud our abundance affirmation. Together, I am an abundant being living in an abundant universe. God is the source of my supply. I am not dependent on people or situations for my good. God is the source of my supply. I always have something to give, and I consistently give it. I expect the best, I give my best, and I now attract the best in every experience.
Our offering song is a new one. It's a chant, it's a call and response. We have a little issue with the PowerPoint for it this morning, so if it doesn't follow what we're doing, close your eyes and just follow along. If it does do it right, then give Betsy a big pat on the back for being able to fix it. God is the source of all I see.
God is the source of all I see.
God is the source in me.
God is the source in me.
God is the light in which I'm seeing.
God is the light in which I'm seeing.
God is the light in me.
God is the light in me.
God is the mind that I am thinking.
God is the mind that I am thinking.
God is the mind in me.
God is the mind in me.
God is the source and God is the light.
God is the source and God is the light.
God is the mind in me.
God is the mind in me.
God is the source of all I see.
God is the source of all I see.
God is the source in me.
God is the source in me.
God is light in me. God is the light in which I'm seeing. God is the light in me.
God is the light in me.
God is the mind that I am thinking.
God is the mind that I am thinking.
God is the mind in me.
God is the mind in me.
God is the source and God is the light.
God is the source and God is the light.
God is the mind in me.
God is the mind in me.
And it helps if you don't lose your place.
Yeah. Let's bless the offerings received with these words together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Now, I would like to invite you to stand now and join me in saying our closing prayer together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. In gratitude for our radiant health, please remain in place and join us in singing, "Let There Be Peace on Earth."